In this conversation, I talk with incredibly inspiring Gosia Szwed-Pruvot, who is a co-founder of a well-being platform called Fitmind. We discuss the role of courage in really going for that big dream, in starting something new, setting challenging goals, and really stepping outside your comfort zone to create the life that's meaningful and that has a positive impact in the world. So tune in. I hope you enjoy, and please share your insights in the comments with us. Hey Gosia, hi. Today, I'm joined by Gosia today, who is a former colleague of mine. So me and Gosia go back quite a few years when we used to work together. And now Gosia is a digital marketing expert and a co-founder of a startup called Fitmind. That's a well-being expert platform that is launching right around the time that we're recording this. So it probably will have launched by the time this interview is released. So Gosia, welcome. You are very welcome to be the guest on my Courageous Conversations. How have you been?
Thank you for the invitation. I'm really happy to have this conversation, and yes, looking forward to hear all the questions.
Yeah, share your views on courage. So in this conversations, we go quite deep into one topic, which is so dear and close to my heart, because like we chatted just before, right? It's so important to have courage in our lives, in our everyday lives, not just in those giant moments and turning points. Absolutely. So let's launch right into it, right? So Gosia, for you, what is, how do you define courage for yourself? What is it for you?
I think for me, it's getting out of your comfort zone and doing something that scares you. So that's, for example, like speaking up when everyone is silent, saying no when everyone says yes, challenging the status quo, and even showing your more vulnerable side. So courage is doing things that feel right to you, rather than doing things that you should be doing because you are forced to do, because everyone around you is doing the things that they should be doing, but it's not what you feel kind of like inside it's right. So having the courage to actually speak up, and like it doesn't need to be anything like heroic, as like we were just chatting before. It's just the everyday courage, right, that you can show in so many different ways.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, I love that. Yeah, exactly. It's that everyday doing what scares you, right? It's like, I call it sometimes an antidote to fear. And I don't know if you're familiar with Brené Brown. You know, she speaks about the courage is the level to which we're willing to be vulnerable, which you mentioned as well, the vulnerability piece. Yeah, I love that. Yeah, say no when everyone's saying yes, and just, yeah, daring, being brave, right? To do it your own way. Yeah, I love that. And so I know a lot is happening in your life now with the launch and with the platform, which I had a privilege to see already, a sneak peek, which it's amazing. I'm really looking forward for it to launch. So tell me, where in your life is courage been most important to you, maybe recently or in general?
So I think it has to be starting something new, something that I've never done before. I don't have experience, and then naturally you kind of like question yourself and like, are you good enough? Like, is it gonna work? And because like there's so many like uncertainties when you start something new, so having the courage to push through is very important. And things can go wrong, and things will go wrong. So you will fail multiple times before you succeed. So I think like not being afraid to fail is very important, and treating failure really as an opportunity to learn and nothing more. So I'm kind of like trying to apply courage more in a sense of like starting something new and enjoying the process, and even knowing that there will be obstacles. I will hit some walls, even with the current project I've been doing the business. I've been working on it with my business partner. We've been talking about it for like almost 2 years. and only now we reach the point when we actually are launching it. So it's just very long time to launch something fairly simple. So yeah, kind of like you will hit those like obstacles, but the important thing is to take up the courage and actually push through and still do it despite the setbacks.
Yeah, gosh, I just want to say that I think it takes huge courage to even allow yourself to dream of, oh my God, I'm going to create this business, to have faith in your idea, and go like, I'm going to do this no matter what. I think you demonstrate amazing courage. I really admire your tenacity as well, because it takes that, right? Because I know we've been in touch a few times during this process, and it's,
Yeah.
it may seem simple at first, but starting a business, I'll say I started 2 so far, is not easy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And you know for yourself as well.
Yeah.
And I think like it's important to not only talk about things, because you can talk about a lot of things, and you can make plans, but if you don't make this like action, and if everything finishes on the level of that conversation, then you are not progressing, you're not growing. So it's just important to just follow up with some like actions, and back your words with something that like you're actually doing something. It's not only talking. And I remember we were talking about like my idea probably like 2 years ago, and I was like almost ashamed, like I'm not gonna approach Moisa again because it's been 2 years and I still haven't done anything. But you know what? Like throughout like this time, like I've learned so much, and that 2 years was probably essential to be at the moment I am at, like right now. And actually, all the conversation I have with different people, all the experiences, even the bad experiences. Resulted in actually us getting to where we are now and being in a position to launch. So yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah. 2 years. I think definitely sometimes we need to go through whatever the journey is, right? 2 years sounds like you need that time to learn things, to absorb, to try things, right? And like you said, fail, or well, fail is kind of not my favorite word, but it depends how people understand it, right? But as long as you learn from it, it's not really a failure. It's an experiment, and it gives you feedback, right? It's an experiment to gain feedback, basically. If something doesn't work, doesn't mean you fail, because you keep going. So actually, you would only fail if you stopped, right?
Yeah.
If you stop and kind of refuse to engage. So it's like, okay, now I'm keeping going. I'm taking the learning on board and continue. And
that's
that
actually
takes courage.
Really interesting concept, because like I always mention failures, and like we failed, we've done this, like it didn't work. But now you're saying it like, let's rename failure, because it's just a way to reach your goal, and it's just a normal like part of this process. I actually like that. I might just try to replace will fail with something else going forward.
Yeah. In NLP we say there's no failure, only feedback. I love that. It's true. It's true. It's a powerful reframe, empowering reframe. Great. That's so cool, Gosia. I'm so happy that you're still in the game. And and also it goes to show that we can be so hard on ourselves, right? It's like, oh, it's taking me this long and that long, and it's not happening on the time scale I imagined and expected. And I think in business, this is so common. But then, so what helps you in those moments when they're tough? What helps you to re-engage, to kind of stay committed and go for, bring courage to kind of, I guess, courage, like we said, to do something that scares you maybe, but keep going? What helps?
So I think especially when things are hard, it's a good opportunity for us to tap into this courage, and I think it's very important to believe in your core values, to have some core values, and then they will give you a boost to take the right action. So setting your core values is important, as the decisions you will make should reflect these. And I think this is when it gets easier, because they're almost like a beacon in your life. You have those values, and then you reach some a difficult time in your life, and then you can evaluate the situation based on the values you hold, and then it kind of like leads you to make the right choice in your life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I really resonate with that. The values, it's really, one is to know them, right? And then to remind yourself of them is a really important one, I find. To refer to them, not just write them down and have them somewhere in a notebook, right? But kind of have them front and center, so they can be top of mind when those thoughts could almost try to kind of sway us. Oh no, I'm just not gonna.
And it takes time to actually, and an effort to know what your values are, because like you might just live your life and just like not very like consciously almost, right? But then it's so important to set some time aside and actually question it. What are your key values? What should be this beacon in your life? So it doesn't just come like one day you wake up and you just know. No, it actually, you need to like revision yourself and question what is important for you in life.
Exactly. I love that you mentioned that, because one way that I see courage as well is when courage comes in almost naturally, when whatever you want to do is more important than the fear. When that thing that you care about, which is your value, isn't it, is just bigger than the fear that you're feeling to take that move. And that's when courage kind of, I think, really blossoms in that. Yeah, it is. It's like fueled by the values, actually. Yeah, I love that. I love that perspective. Great. So in terms of kind of, maybe you can share with us actually one time in your life, like if you look back on your life, right?
Yeah.
What would be one time that you would kind of point out that you felt you were most courageous?
Well, I have to admit that I don't have like any kind of like heroic things, like saving anyone's life or anything as dramatic. But like if I were to pick like one thing, that would probably be me coming to London and not even knowing the language very well, and having like 300 pounds in my pocket, and arriving on a bus, and having only one-way ticket. So that was actually that put me definitely out of my comfort zone. So I was very young, and I managed to find a job, and that 300 pounds lasted me the whole summer, because kind of like I managed to be self-efficient. Before I was like relying on my parents to provide me with everything, but I just decided to take the courage and actually go to a place that I am not familiar with, to use the language I don't feel comfortable speaking. And then, of course, like that led me to actually change my degree from Poland. I was studying in Poland at that time, and I transferred my degree. So I actually finished Kingston University. And again, like it was something that I felt like a bit uncomfortable with, because just like studying in a language that you don't feel very comfortable, but then it just opened up so many opportunities in my life. Just this one thing that I just decided to go like one summer, and my life would be completely different if I didn't do that. If I would start questioning myself and like, oh, can you do that? Maybe it's not safe. What if something happens? So I'm really grateful I had that courage to actually do something out of my comfort zone.
Oh my God, such huge courage, Gosia. So yeah, exactly. I'm sure there was so many reasons not to go, so many fears potentially in the way, but you're like, no, you just.
Definitely. And also like my mother didn't want me to go, so I was like, oh, you just, you won't make it. And also like hearing it from your parents is just like a bit discouraging, because like even if your parents don't believe in you, like, can you really make it? But yeah.
Though who knows what was behind that? It was probably like, oh, you can't make it. Please have her stay home. I want her home.
Yeah.
I think parents just always want.
Definitely.
Yeah. I had a journey as well. So Gosia, I forgot to mention that in the beginning, but Gosia traveled, like she said, from Poland and many years ago, and has lived here ever since. And he's now married to a wonderful French guy that I know as well, and they have a beautiful 5-year-old daughter and a cat. So maybe we'll post a picture of the cat and the daughter in the interview notes now. Anyhow, so that's very courageous. Definitely one of those almost heroic things, Gosia, to leave things behind and go for something completely new.
Yeah. The thing is that your perspective of like what is courageous, it just changes, right? Because like now moving a country wouldn't be actually such a big step for me, because I've already done it, and it would be okay for me to go through it again. But then doing something completely different, that would be the next level I would be afraid of. But like if you don't face your fears, you're not growing as well. You're not giving yourself the opportunity to grow and do something bigger and better with your life. So
yeah, totally. And actually growth is one of my top values. Growth, personal, professional, and spiritual, kind of, on a different level. But yeah, and it's true, there's so much courage needed in living from our values, right? Whatever that is. It can be growth. I have other ones, but it's not always easy to live from our values and to do that thing that scares us. Like you said before, right? Your definition of courage is doing something that scares you, going outside your comfort zone. It's really great that you mentioned that. Because once our comfort zone is stretched, right? Things that used to scare us may no longer scare us, but then there's always that next level that we are, I think, supposed to grow into. It's almost like life is giving us these opportunities. Look, you can grow here and here. You just have to go for it, right? You have to accept the challenge, I guess.
Because it's easy to set for what you have, and there might not be anything wrong in that, but you are just removing yourself of an opportunity to have even like better and fuller life. So you can be perfectly fine with having your 9 to 5, 9 to 6 job, and like watching Netflix in the evenings and just like going out from time to time. But then if you don't really question yourself, if you don't get out of your comfort zone and do something bigger, you really don't know what your potential is. So growth, absolutely. And I think you cannot grow if you stay inside your comfort zone. Just by definition, you can't grow. You are closed in a box. So that absolutely like resonates with me, and I think a lot of people don't focus like on their personal growth, because they don't even like question, and they don't think like how their life can be better. So I'm really happy you are doing it, and you are helping other people to get to their potential and to realize what what their life can be like when they set some goals and get out of their comfort zone.
Yeah, that's why I really found my calling in coaching. It's just so rewarding to see people identify. I think first we need to identify our fears, because when you're feeling comfortable, you may not even be aware that some excuses that we might be making are actually not real, they're not rational, there's fear underneath. And once you identify that, then you have a choice. Okay, am I gonna just go with it, with this fear, and live in this way, and stay in the comfort zone, which I'll share a little bit. I think comfort zone is, over time, it starts to become kind of tight and not as comfortable anymore over time. I think we are naturally, that's how I see it, we're naturally designed to grow and expand, just as humans, we all are. I think we're supposed to just grow. It's a natural process as everything around us, right? In nature as well, if we look as a parallel. So if we try to stay the same, it's going to become more and more uncomfortable. And then if you identify those areas where the fear is holding you back, then you have a choice. It's like, okay, I'm going to practice courage in this way and have like you said, a fuller life, and stretch that zone, and grow into more of my potential. I love it, Gosia. It's such a great, I'm so enjoying this conversation.
Oh, me too.
Do you have any kind of specific tips or tools or anything that from your life that you could share with whoever's listening this and might be an inspiration?
Well, I think for me, what kind of like helps me is to set some goals, and short-term goals and mid-term goals, and kind of like your long-term goals, your almost like a lifetime goals, right? And then focus on like what you want your life to look like and what is the best version of your life, and then taking small steps to make this vision a reality. And I know like a lot of people don't like change, and change is something that that is very stressful, like can be very stressful. But I mean, embracing the change is so much better, because change is inevitable. You cannot just like stay where you are, because the circumstances will constantly happen, like, you know, like COVID-19, right? Who would have predicted that? So you need to adapt to the new circumstances and embrace the change, and make decisions that are close to your heart. So I think that's that's kind of like important to know where your values are, to set yourself goals, to think of like what life you want to have. So and for me, I think that kind of like almost breakthrough moment was that 2 years ago, when I was just thinking, I still have like probably around 3 decades of work before I retire, and I mean, like I like my job, I like my colleagues, you know, like my life is fine as is. So I should really, you know, like be happy and appreciate what I have. But then I could do so much like bigger things with my life and make an impact. So, and then I was like questioning, okay, so it's, you know, it's not too late to switch, it's not too late to make a change and do something that I feel more passionate about. And at that time I was just speaking with my friend, my business partner Ada, and she had the same kind of like feeling as well, that something is missing in her life, and she just wants to do something that she believes in, and you know, like follow her passion and also help others, because it's not only about you. At some point you kind of like realize that, you know, like life, your life is so valuable, because like you can impact so many other people with just, you know, trying to make things better. Like, you know, I know this phrase, trying to make things like a better place is a very kind of like overused maybe sentence, but it is actually so true. You know, you need to leave some legacy, and you need to make your life more meaningful. So for me, that kind of like moment when I questioned myself and what I want to do in life was a breakthrough moment for me, when I actually decided that I just want to do something else than just doing, you know, what I do for the next 3 decades. So
Powerful, Gosha, and the world will thank you. Benefit from your amazing platform. And just, I think when we are living this way, we are just more of a kind of, we bring more light into the world. It's also a cliche, but yeah, if you know what I mean. It's like we live, we just, you radiate a different kind of energy when you are living at your fullest, I think.
Yes.
You're happier generally, right? When you're really pursuing what is meaningful to you, what you believe in, like your friend did, right? And I really identify when you were saying, when you had the idea of doing something else, and then you said, oh, it's not too late. It does matter. It is important. And I was like, yeah, all those could be fears that would stop you. It's too late. It doesn't matter, right? I just want to point that out. If anyone that's listening is thinking, oh, I'm too old to change careers, or, oh, I could make that happen, or it doesn't really matter what I would like to create. Would anybody need that or resonate with that? Yes, I think we all get these nudges from in our lives, because we're supposed to kind of grow, and this, I don't think there's necessarily one direction. I think we have choices. It's all about making conscious choices. Where do you want to go for now? And maybe later there's going to be something else, because if anything, these days we know that things don't stay the same, right? That the world is so changing so rapidly. Still, in my parents, or definitely my grandparents' generation, you had a job and you stuck at it for life usually, right? And this just doesn't happen anymore. So also, when we set those goals, right, it's not necessarily, oh, I'm deciding for this now for life. It can also be a kind of a helpful, commitment is really important, but at the same time, knowing that if you bring your, kind of conscious awareness to it, you can always make choices and tweak things so they suit you. And it's not like things are set in stone from day one, right? Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
Great tips, Gosha. I think this is really, really useful share, really beautiful share, but also useful for whoever's listening to set those goals, and knowing that with small steps, you can pretty much achieve anything, right? If you break it down to small enough steps and believe in that vision and connect to your values, what's important to you, like you said, right, come from the heart, that's going to pull you forward. That gives you the fuel to keep going.
Yeah, exactly. Because if you can't reach your goal, from day one to day two, it takes time, and you need to break it down in small and manageable steps. And it's the same with your fitness routine, for example, right? If you want to be fitter, it's a whole process, and you need to break it down, so because otherwise this will become something that is unachievable for you, but kind of you can plan the next step, what you're gonna do in the next day, what you're gonna do today, and if you start today, you will kind of be one day closer to achieving your goal, right? So
and another important thing with that, I think, is that small step, there is less fear to overcome to do that step than there is to fear about the whole goal and what might go wrong, what might not happen, what might happen if, people have fear of failure or success, depending which they're closest to.
Yeah.
I love that perspective. And it's true. If you always think about that big picture, it can be scary. But if you think about the small step, I just need to do this today. It's much more likely that we'll do it and we'll get there in the end. Yeah, I love it. Gosha, this was such a pleasure. I really, really enjoyed talking to you. Tell us where to find you. So it's fitmind.io is your platform's website URL. And if people want to, I'm going to put your contact details just simply in the description of this video.
Perfect.
Yeah, and then people can contact you if they want to obviously check you out, your website, or any collabs or anything like that. Yeah.
any feedback is great. So it's the first version of it's our MVP of the product, but anyway, we've done it, and and it's not gonna be easy next few months. But yeah, if you have any feedback, then that will be very much appreciated. So yeah, Moisa, thank you so much for this conversation. I actually went into places that probably I didn't expect we'll be talking in such a depth about it. So yeah, thank you so much for that. And yeah, and I will be looking forward to more interviews with you.
Yes, absolutely. I'll be posting more of these, exactly like Gosia said. They'll be coming regularly. The plan is for a year, series of interviews on a monthly basis. So yeah, thank you,
Amazing.
Gosia. And just for those maybe not familiar with design thinking, MVP is a minimum viable product, which is another important point. First iteration, and then you can always tweak it and make it better. Yeah,
Exactly.
Thank you, Gosia. Have a great one.
Thanks so much. Bye.